Hey there and welcome to this channel all about how you can make the most out of Amazon ads. I'm David and this is mistake number 13 of my top Amazon PPC mistakes series, which is not using negative keywords proactively. Now, already this is kind of two mistakes. The main mistake being not using negative keywords at all. That's kind of more the beginner's mistake that just don't know the option is there, right, to use negative keywords. But today I really want to focus on the proactively part. That's what I still see with, let's say semi-advanced PPC managers, junior PPC managers sometimes. And what I mean with that exactly is what I want to talk about today. So in this example, right, I'm in the search term report of a campaign. I, check the last 65 days, I filter for 0 orders, and I sort by clicks, right? And then typically you go through these search terms and you look at what you want to put to negative exact, right? Or negative phrase. We'll get to that in a moment. So in this case, if it's just this one search term that is completely irrelevant, perhaps I might want to put it to negative exact. Of course, you always need to know what your product is about to actually understand these search terms and their relevancy. But the point is, that's what you typically do. You're kind of reactive. You wait for those clicks. How many clicks, you ask? Well, maybe you want to check out my last video on exactly that topic. But after you wait that number of clicks, basically, you then put it to negative exact. Now, one thing that you should do proactively is actually look at that search term and see which word within that search term makes it irrelevant to your product. And if you see, okay, that one word is just always going to be irrelevant to my product in whatever combination of search terms it's going to come, then put that to negative phrase as well, right? Don't just go here and put it to negative exact, but also put it to negative phrase. Very important. So that's the one part of proactive negative targeting. But the other part is actually probably even more important, and that is even before you start the campaign, you want to do your research not just for positive keywords, but also negative keywords, right? So for example, you're doing your research in brand analytics, right, which you can find via the menu and then brands analytics. And so you search for your main keywords, and then you just go through the list, right? And you typically take out the search terms that really matter to your product, but at the same time, you should already be writing out the words, the single words that are just not going to be relevant. And you already see from the search frequency rank, people are going to search that, right? And so when you're going to have your automatic campaign running or your broad or your phrase campaigns running, there will be traffic coming this search term's way. And you don't need to wait for clicks. You don't need to wait for performance data to prove what you already know. This is just not a relevant keyword for your product. Anything with, in this example, heated for my normal wooden doghouse is just not going to be relevant. So put it to negative phrase, right? Take heated, the single word, and put it to negative phrase. Down here, when you start a campaign, heated. There you go, negative phrase, and you're going to avoid any search terms with that word. So in this example, right, you might think, okay, maybe I might convince 1 in every 100 customers to buy my normal doghouse anyway. Okay, you can do that. You can think that and calculate with a very bad conversion rate. But in that case, still, you probably want to put, indoor doghouse, that kind of bad keyword, into a separate campaign, into a so-called bad keyword campaign where, the overall conversion rate and click-through rate is just going to be a lot worse than in your good performing campaign. And in that way, you are not hurting the overall score and the overall trust score of your good performing campaign, right? If you don't split it, then you're hurting the good performing campaign, which then also means you're hurting the impressions that Amazon will give that good performing campaign. If you want to know more about impressions, by the way, then check out this video all about reasons why you might not be getting impressions. But yeah, back to this topic. So that's what you definitely want to do. Put that word that you see is going to be irrelevant in any combination, put it to negative phrase, right? So that's really the one big mistake that I see people doing or not doing really. So you want to be not among the PPC managers that forgets writing out these things, write out the words that are not relevant, and just avoid it right from the start. And maybe just some special mentions while I'm at it. So again, while you're going through those search terms, right, to kind of see the badly performing search terms, and like I mentioned, you want to go through all the search terms and kind of see which words might appear in a lot of them, and then already put that word to negative phrase. Actually, you don't need to wait for a pattern. You don't need to, see a certain word appear in a lot of search terms. If you know it's not relevant, just put it to negative phrase right away. However, if you, don't have time to always go through these search terms yourself, there are of course tools that kind of do that for you, either with automation to put them on negative right away. So these are just some of those keywords, some of those tools, right? Let me just show you them here. And there's also the ones that help you do that manually, right? Also in bulk. So in this case, I can actually really recommend Sky's feature, which basically summarizes all the single words that appear in all of those search terms, and then summarize the performance for that single word in all of those search terms. So you already see, okay, that word has gotten, like 50 clicks across all of those search terms, and it never got an order. So then you can easily detect those search terms and put them to negative phrase. So that's one tool I can recommend in this whole topic of negative targets. The other one I can, also mention perhaps while we're at it is actually M19. So what they do is also kind of special in this regard. So they take those bad search terms that they find, they don't just put them to negative exact, but they add them to that bad performing campaign that I was referring to before, right? They kind of know, okay, even an irrelevant keyword could get you some sales, and they just work with that keyword with a very low conversion rate and of course with low bids because of that in a separate campaign. So yeah, that is also certainly worth mentioning on this topic. And by the way, speaking of these Amazon overviews, I am working on an Amazon SEO overview. So everything about keyword research, keyword ranking, tracking, content optimization, competitor tracking, which goes into content, optimization especially. So yeah, you can look forward to that as well sometime this year. I can't really tell you yet when, but that is definitely coming. So one more reason to subscribe to this channel, of course. And if you found this video useful, then I would of course also appreciate a like. As always, it helps me in the YouTube algorithm. So yeah, that's it for this one. I wish you a great rest of the day, and I'll see you around. Bye bye.